Jobless youths are on the rise, says Bank Negara, and many are young graduates. The central bank says growth in hiring has slowed since late 2014, and those aged between 15 and 24 years old have been more affected than the rest. According to its estimates, youth unemployment reached 10.7% in 2015. That's 3 times higher than the national jobless rate of 3.1%. And of those jobless youths, 23% are young graduates. The central bank explains that businesses are now more restrained in expanding their workforce, which makes youths the most vulnerable since they are likely to be the last to be hired and the first to be made redundant. This is due to their lack of experience, higher information asymmetry, and job seekers' incapability of conveying what they have to offer to employers. What isn't helping young graduates is that job creation in Malaysia has remained focused on low and mid-skilled jobs. This as local industries emphasize cost efficiency and dependence on cheap labour rather than pursue innovation. Plus, the Malaysian economy is still having problems attracting high-quality investments that would create more high-paying, high-skilled jobs. There's one big hurdle in Malaysia's dreams of becoming a high-income nation by 2020: the weak ringgit. Minister in the PM's department, Rahman Dahlan, says that while in terms of real value, achieving the $15,000 per capita income goal shouldn't be a problem, the weakness in the local currency is a great challenge. This is because while there is positive growth in terms of income when reported in ringgit, the purchasing power of a Malaysian earning in the local currency has actually diminished as a result of the weak currency. That aside, Rahman points out that the government has achieved a lot, especially in alleviating poverty. He says the income growth rate of the bottom 40% households is faster than the middle 40% and top 20% households, and that social mobility is evident. Vision 2020 was formulated by former Prime Minister Dr. M. However, Rahman says it remains relevant to the nation and that Putrajaya is still hopeful of achieving the aspirations outlined under the ideal. The Selangor state government will not chip in to take over the water assets held under Splash after all. MB Azmin Ali says there is no question about it, adding that there is no conclusion yet and that talks are still ongoing for the final independent valuation report, which will be presented to the cabinet. He also adds that it's not him who personally decides on the water assets consolidation exercise. He says the state government will wait for the federal government to get back to it. Last week, the Edge Financial Daily, quoting sources, reported that Selangor was looking to chip in as much as 40% of Splash's price tag. The water concessionaire company was valued between 2.8 billion and 3.2 billion ringgit by RHB Investment Bank in 2015, while Deloitte was said to put its value at 3 billion ringgit. Malaysia Airlines is back in expansion mode, with plans to secure as many as 42 wide-body jets over the next few months. According to news reports, its chief Peter Bellew said that the carrier wants to lease up to a dozen used Airbus A330 or Boeing 777 aircraft for use from 2018. This after hire rates fell 15% in 3.5 months. It may also order 25 to 30 new Boeing 787s or A330neos later this year for delivery from 2019. Malaysia Airlines is experiencing a surge in demand after recovering from a bookings slump that followed the MH370 and MH17 disasters. Even before the twin tragedies, the flagship airline was already bleeding losses since 2011. But things are looking up. Load factor stood at about 80% for both January and February. Less than a year ago, load factor was 68%, just under break-even point. MIDF Research has upgraded Petronas Dagangan or PADAG to buy with an unchanged target price of RM26.91, though it made no changes to the group's earnings estimates. The research house says PADAG is expected to gain from the change in fuel price mechanism to a weekly basis, since it is the operator of the highest number of petrol stations in Malaysia. Now that it's a competitive price environment, MIDF believes that PADAG will have the upper hand in offering more competitive fuel prices with additional perks at its Kedai Mesra stores. and the reduced exposure time to MOPS prices, the benchmark for fuel products, will lower the likelihood of lag loss due to steep declines in crude oil or MOPS prices. MIDF notes that PetDag also has the ability to fund heavy upgrade capex at its dealerships. At the close, PetDag's shares were up 1% at 23 ringgit and 84 sen.